Hey guys, I'm Nick, and on this episode of the Scranline, I'm going to show you guys how to make these Aussie Gold macarons. So half of you are probably panicking right now and probably thinking, Nick, why did you put Vegemite in a macaron? The other half of you are probably thinking, what is Vegemite? Now, I know that a lot of Americans have this very ill attitude towards Vegemite. It's kind of similar to your Marmite. So it's kind of like a really salty, a little bit bitter taste. Australians like to have it on some fresh bread with lots of butter and lots of Vegemite. I decided to put it in the buttercream frosting, and then the center of these macarons is some salted caramel sauce. The recipe for that can be found on my website. Now, if you don't want Vegemite in these macarons, you can make it without. Leave it out of the buttercream and replace it with some salted caramel sauce instead. I'm going to leave the instructions on how to do that in the full written recipe. That's going to be on my website. Let's get stuck into this recipe. These are the ingredients you need to make my Aussie Gold macarons. Okay guys, so to make these Aussie Gold macarons, the ingredients you're going to need are icing sugar, almond flour, caster or regular sugar. I've got 2 lots of egg whites here, which I've just separated from the yolks and left them out for a couple hours. And what that does is it just helps them whip up a little bit easier. Some water, salted caramel sauce, some Vegemite. If you're in America, you can use Marmite, vanilla extract, unsweetened cocoa powder, pink sea salt flakes. Now those are optional, and some super black Americolor food gel. Liquid food dye will not work in this recipe. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed already, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I upload 2 new videos a week. We're going to start off by combining our almond flour and cocoa powder together. Now I like to add these 2 together before they go into the food blender, just to sift the cocoa powder and give those a bit of a head start when they're mixing. Then you can add half of your mixture to a food processor, add half of your icing sugar, process those 2 together. Then you can do the same thing to your second half of your almond meal and icing sugar. Now the reason I like to do this in 2 lots is because my food processor can't do it all at once. You want to add those to a large mixing bowl, make a little well in the center, and then you can add the first batch of your egg whites. You want to mix those together until it forms a paste. Now it's going to feel like there's not enough liquid in there to form a paste, but just trust me, keep mixing, it will come together. You want to cover that with some plastic wrap and set it aside. We're going to move on to making our syrup, so you can add your sugar and water into a small saucepan. Give it a gentle mix just to help everything combine together, and you want to bring this to a gentle simmer on medium-high heat. Now for this part guys, you will need a sugar thermometer or a candy thermometer. A lot of you have been asking if you can make it without. You can try, there's plenty of links on Google that you can go and look for some helpful information. I haven't tried it without a candy thermometer, so I can't tell you guys how to do it. I think the best way to do this is with a candy thermometer. Now once you reach 115 degrees Celsius, you want to put your second batch of egg whites on to start whipping up. You can use a stand mixer like I am, or you can do this with a hand mixer. So we just want to get these nice and frothy. Once we reach 118 degrees Celsius, we're going to very slowly and in a thin stream add our very hot syrup to our egg whites while the mixer is on high speed, and just add a dash of vanilla extract in there as well. Now you want to continue whipping this until your mixture becomes nice and thick and glossy, and you'll be able to see the glossiness. Now if you can turn your bowl upside down and your mixture doesn't fall out, you know it's done. Add a spatula full of your meringue mixture to your almond mixture and fold that in until it's well combined. Add some black food dye and keep mixing. Then you can add the rest of your meringue mixture and you want to fold that in. Now guys, the mixing stage is really important. This is the part where most people make the mistakes of over mixing, and you can end up with a whole bunch of problems. Cracked macarons, macarons that won't rise properly. The way I like to mix, and everyone has a preference, is by using a spatula, scraping around the bowl and then going through the middle. And what that helps do is deflate the egg whites and get it to a nice perfect ribbon consistency. And the ribbon stage is when the mixture falls off the spatula in a ribbon and then disappears into the rest of the mixture after about 10 seconds. Once you've reached that stage, it is the perfect time to stop. I'm just going to add a dab of my mixture to each side of my baking tray before I put my baking paper on top. I'm using a medium size round tip to pipe my macarons about 3 centimeters wide. Now I'm actually adding the salt on at this stage. This is optional, you don't have to use the salt. I would recommend adding the salt right before you pop these in the oven, not at this point. Now you want to gently tap the tray on all sides and that helps get rid of all the air bubbles in the mixture. Let these dry for about 30 minutes. After about 30 minutes you should be able to touch them and a skin has formed, they won't be sticky anymore. Then you can sprinkle the sea salt flakes on top, pop them in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes. Once they're baked, leave them on the baking tray to cool down completely before you try taking them off. To prepare your Vegemite buttercream frosting, add a little bit of Vegemite in there and mix it until it's well combined. Now if you don't want to use Vegemite, you can replace that with salted caramel. I'm using a Wilton 6B tip to frost my macarons in a swirl. I want to leave a little bit in the center free to add some salted caramel sauce as a little bit of a surprise when you bite into them. And that's pretty much it. Okay guys, so those were my Aussie Gold macarons. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit the like button. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed already, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I upload 2 new videos a week for you guys. Recipe can be found on my website, thescranline.com. Link for that is in the box below. My last video is over there for you guys to watch, so click on that for more deliciousness. Thanks so much for watching guys. I'll see you all in the next episode of The Scran Line.